There are worlds that go beyond imagination, places where the laws of reality break apart and where ordinary people gain powers that border on the divine. In each of them, a protagonist is torn from their normal life and thrown into a new universe, full of monsters, warring kingdoms, and forces that defy any human logic. But unlike most, these heroes are neither fragile nor naive. They master power, control destiny, and become living legends in their own worlds. Today, we'll dive into stories where the impossible is routine and strength is only the beginning. 1. The Eminence in Shadow. Since childhood, he dreamed of being someone who operated in the shadow, an invisible master manipulating the world without ever showing his face. While everyone sought fame, power, or glory, what he desired was silent control, the influence that shapes fate unnoticed. For that, he trained beyond human limits, dedicating every second of his life to becoming a legend that would never exist in the eyes of the world. But fate, as ironic as ever, took him to a new universe, one where magic, monsters, and chaotic empires replaced Earth's logic. There, the dream that once seemed impossible finally became real. He didn't just gain power, he became the very concept of it. He created a secret organization, gave birth to a legend, and began to live between fiction and reality, blending performance and truth so perfectly that even gods would doubt what was real. What began as a game turned into something greater. Illusion became belief, became worship, and the man who only wanted to play the hero in the shadows ended up becoming exactly what he pretended to be, a hidden force, feared and revered. A being who needs to prove nothing to anyone because the entire world already dances to the sound of his words. That time I got reincarnated as a slime. For many, death is the end, but for him it was only the beginning of something unimaginable. In one moment, a normal life ended, and in the next, he woke up in a new world, without a human body, without an identity, without anything, just a small, jelly-like creature. What seemed like the most tragic fate became one of the greatest ascensions ever seen. With a sharp mind and insatiable curiosity, he began exploring that new universe. Every skill absorbed, every enemy defeated, and every ally gained shaped something greater. Little by little, that simple being began to carry within himself the power of a god. And what started as mere survival became leadership. He built a nation from nothing, united monsters of all races, created laws, values, and an ideal of coexistence where chaos once reigned. His strength came not only from absurd magic, but from his ability to inspire and transform those around him. In a world where violence sets the rules, he proved that even the most unlikely being can rewrite destiny, as long as they have the will to change everything. 3. Lord of Mysteries. In a world where the supernatural mixes with reason, the boundary between science and magic becomes almost non-existent. It's a universe ruled by ancient secrets, hidden orders, and forces operating in the shadows, shaping humanity's fate without it ever knowing. And it was in this enigmatic setting that he awoke, lost, curious, and above all, determined to understand how that world worked. Power there wasn't measured by brute strength, but by knowledge. Every secret revealed was a weapon. Every ritual learned a step toward ascension. With cold intelligence and near-inhuman patience, he walked a path few would dare to follow. He made contact with entities beyond human comprehension, risking his own sanity to uncover what lay beyond the veil of reality. Over time, the observer became a key piece of the game. From a simple investigator, he became the mystery itself, a being who manipulates fate with a single thought, who understands chaos and wields it as a tool. In a world where the unknown is feared, he became the one who masters it, the man who watches from the shadows, comprehends the incomprehensible, and carries within him the power of a true god disguised as a mortal. 4. Overlord. What happens when the virtual world becomes real and the player becomes a god within it? For him, it was the end of an era and the beginning of an empire. After years of living inside a game, the server was about to be shut down, but instead of vanishing, he woke up inside that universe, no longer human, but as the most powerful being that world had ever known. Surrounded by loyal followers created by his former companions, he soon realized everything had changed. The rules, the logic, even the very concept of reality. But his power remained, and with it, absolute dominion over life and death. While the world tried to understand the rise of that entity, he remained calm, observing everything with cold calculation, molding chaos in silence. There was no longer a line between player and character. The ruler of darkness had become real, and in a world where kingdoms tremble at his name, he proves that true power isn't just destruction, it's control, strategy, and the ability to manipulate everything and everyone until destiny itself bows before his will. 5. Ishura. After the fall of the most powerful of all, the world fell silent. The god who once ruled everything had been defeated, and the void left behind gave rise to a new era, one where the strongest fought to decide who would inherit the throne of the impossible. In this chaos, warriors emerged who transcended humanity's limits, being so powerful that the very notion of battle became bloody poetry. Among them, he stands out not only for his strength, but for the calm with which he faces the battlefield. In a world full of monsters, heroes, and legendary assassins, he moves with the confidence of someone who has already won before even fighting. Every strike is precise, every decision lethal, and in his eyes lies something no god ever possessed: complete understanding of power. But the real conflict lies not only in weapons, it's in motivation. Each warrior carries a worldview, an ideal, a purpose, and he, among them all, represents the balance between strength and awareness. In a universe where everyone seeks to prove who's strongest, he shows that true supremacy lies not in destruction, but in the serenity of one who knows nothing can stop him. 6. Tsukimichi. Moonlit fantasy. He was chosen by the gods to live in a new world, but the promise of a glorious destiny ended before it even began. Rejected by the very deity who summoned him, he was cast into the shadows of that universe, stripped of any blessing or recognition. Yet what seemed like a curse turned into the greatest irony. Exclusion set him free. Far from the rules of gods and morals of men, he discovered a power that surpassed everything. His strength wasn't just physical, it reflected an unshakable will, someone who refused to be controlled. And while the world saw him as a mistake, he grew in silence, mastering magic, defying divine beings, and forging his own path, far from the influence of those who discarded him. Over time, the exile became a legend. He founded his own domain, gathered impossible allies, and built an empire that even the gods came to fear. Because in the end, true power doesn't come from blessings, but from the courage to turn hatred into strength, and the determination to prove that even one cast out of the world can become the most feared within it. 7. Zenshu. In a world where souls and destiny intertwine, he awakens without memories, without purpose, only with the feeling that something inside him holds a power that shouldn't exist. As he discovers the laws governing that universe, an eternal cycle of life, death, and reincarnation, he begins to realize that the very balance of creation is at risk. What sets him apart is not just the strength he possesses, but his understanding of what it means. In a place where every being fights for survival, he sees the bigger picture. Every battle, every confrontation, and every choice brings him closer to the truth. He's not just part of the cycle. He's the one who can break it. Even when faced with beings who call themselves gods, he remains unshaken. His calm isn't arrogance, it's awareness. He understands that absolute power requires more than brutality. It demands mastery over oneself. And while the world bows to destruction, he walks his own path, shaping destiny with his own hands, proving that sometimes the true overpower is the one who controls chaos without being consumed by it. 8. Villainous level 99. I may be the hidden boss, but I'm not the demon lord. She never asked for power, nor for a fate that made her the villain in a story that wasn't hers. When she woke up in that new world, she realized she had reincarnated inside a game, not as the heroine, but as the antagonist destined to lose. However, unlike the script's plan, she had no intention of following it. Determined to avoid her own end, she trained in secret, honed her abilities, and surpassed every limit. What began as an attempt to survive became something much greater. While the world thought she was just a fragile noblewoman, She had already reached a level of power so absurd that even the strongest warriors and mages seemed like children beside her. But the most fascinating part is that despite being strong enough to dominate everything, she doesn't seek glory or destruction. Her power is silent, calculated, almost humble. She doesn't want to be feared, she just wants peace. Yet when chaos arises, everyone discovers the truth. The woman the world fears isn't a demon, but someone who learned to beat destiny by playing by her own rules. 9. Uncle from another world. After years in a coma, he wakes up in a hospital, unaware of what happened to the world, his life, or those he left behind. But what no one imagines is that during all that time, he wasn't unconscious. He was living in another world, a universe full of monsters, magic, and warring kingdoms, where he survived alone, facing everything the impossible could offer. Upon returning, he brings not only memories, but also the powers he gained there. And it's in this contrast between the extraordinary and the mundane that his story becomes unique. An ordinary man, now with abilities that defy explanation, trying to adapt to a modern world that seems stranger than the one he left behind. Even though he's powerful enough to defeat entire armies, his life isn't about glory or heroism, but about simple moments, memories, and a nearly tragic comedy that mixes nostalgia and strength. He's living proof that power doesn't change who you are. It only reveals how much the world has changed while you were gone. 10. I've been killing slimes for 300 years and maxed out. My level tired of the exhausting and meaningless routine of her old life, she wanted only one thing: peace. When given the chance to start over, she chose the simplest path possible: to live quietly in a fantasy world, far from conflict or responsibility. No dangerous adventures, no grand ambitions. Just a house in the countryside, a calm rhythm, and peaceful days hunting small creatures to survive. But time has a curious way of turning simplicity into greatness. 3 centuries passed, and without realizing it, she became a living legend. Her peaceful routine of defeating weak enemies slowly raised her power to the maximum, making her one of the strongest beings that world had ever known. Even so, her essence remained the same. She doesn't seek fame or recognition, only the comfort of a serene life surrounded by those she's come to love. And that's what makes her story unique. Someone who reached the peak of power simply by choosing to live slowly, proving that true strength can be born from peace and constancy. So which of these worlds caught your attention the most? Each one shows a different kind of power, some born from rage, others from wisdom, and some from the simple will to move forward. If you enjoy stories where protagonists surpass all limits and defy the impossible, leave your like right now and subscribe to the channel. That really helps the channel grow and shows me that you want more lists and analyses like this. Turn on the notification bell so you don't miss any new videos, and comment which of these characters you think is the most overpowered of all. See you in the next one. Until then, keep exploring new worlds.